Okay, welcome everybody to the live stream. So today what I'm going to talk about is essentially what I bring my new agents through when they are in training. So let's get this started here. Here we go. Hope everybody's having a great day today. By the way, I'm going to be having live streams every Thursday now instead of Tuesday. It just fits with the schedule better. And honestly, like putting out 2 videos a week is easy when you make them videos that aren't edited well. When I'm trying to make really well edited videos, so it makes it a little bit harder to put out like 2 videos a week with everything else I do with that. So that being said, what I'm going to do here is get going on the topic today. So what we're going to talk about today is essentially the new agent system that I bring my agents through. So I'd like everybody to grab a pen and piece of paper here, and as you are watching this, just drop a question in the questions feed if you have a question for me. Anything at all related to telesales. I don't care how off topic I go on this. Just drop a question in the chat and we'll go from there. So first thing that I go through with my agents, new agents, really is goal setting. Goal setting, scheduling, what are you trying to accomplish? And when you're looking at what you're trying to accomplish, are you willing to pay the price that it takes to get there? Right. So people get into insurance, and I think they have a false idea of how easy the insurance industry is based on the barrier to entry, because the barrier to entry to the insurance industry is pretty low, right? Like all you got to do is get an insurance license and that's it. Costs a couple bucks, get an insurance license, and then that's it. So really low barrier of entry to the business. So sometimes that can make people think that like accomplishing big goals in this business is easier than it is, because it's like, oh, I got my license, nice. Man, that test was hard. Little do you know that was like the easiest thing you run into in the entire industry. So what's important to know first is you want to set goals. So you want to make, there's a couple different names for the way that these goals are. Some people call them SMART goals. I just call it like actual goals. So you want to set goals that are 60 to 90 days out. All right. And you want to set goals that are motivating and that get you energized and get you excited and just get you pumped up. You're going to have an emotional charge to them. And your goals have to have a few basic characteristics. So you want to write this down. You want your goals to be quantitative. So there has to be an actual real value to it. Okay. You want your goals to be realistic, but a challenge, right? Like don't be like, if it's your first week, don't be like, oh, I'm going to make $1 million this week. Now, some people may say, oh, you got to set high goals. I get it. Like the whole 10X goal thing, but like, I think that's more along a vision, and like realistically, you're not going to be a billionaire your first week in insurance. So you got to set something that is challenging and motivating and exciting to you as another milestone to get to, but something that you know that you can probably come pretty close to. All right. That's what works for me anyway, and that's what helps me. So in addition to that, it has to be something that you can see. So something time-bound, realistic, quantitative, and then it's just a certain time that you're going to make it happen in. So for instance, if you want to sell a certain amount of AP, you want to sell a certain amount of AP by like X date. Okay. So 3 months, be like, okay, by December 13th, or, January 13th, I want to sell 90,000 of annual premium or whatever it is. That's a goal. And I'd ask people to divide their life up into different sections and create goals for each of those sections in their lives. So they can have a goal for their personal life, for their financial life, maybe something they do with friends or family or whatever. So there's just different goals there that someone can have. And then we create a schedule, because scheduling is super important. Like if you can't get your stuff together with your schedule, you're not going to do too well here. So the scheduling is major key. I'm going to take these off. I don't even need them. Schedule is major key here. So when you're scheduling, you want to organize your day in something that you know you can commit to. All right, so I got a question up here real quick. So you want to schedule your day out so you know that you can commit to your schedule. So don't commit to something crazy if you can't do it. And then also don't write a schedule out that's too easy if you're going to have a bunch of free time. So I got a question here by Time Creator. How long does it take for your different carriers to contract a new agent to get a writing number? Oh, no, ours take a day or two. The only one that can take longer I've seen is Guaranteed Issue, but ours literally take a day. like a day or two. We get writing numbers back like super fast. The only time we don't get writing numbers back fast is if someone needs a release from another insurance IMO. Like that's the only time we don't get writing numbers back quickly. Thank you. You guys can ask any questions you want in here. So any questions that you want to ask, just drop them in the chat. So after we go through goal setting and scheduling, where we schedule out our weeks and say, hey, what can you commit to? What type of commitment can you give to this business? We get into some basics for equipment. Now, the reason why I think this is important is because like I can work off a computer with a single monitor, but my efficiency increases significantly when I have a couple monitors, when I have some like nice tech, I got a nice headset, right? Like I got all different gizmos and gadgets. I'm just like a super geek like that, and I like having that type of stuff. So what I recommend for everybody is to be hardwired to the internet, okay? Wi-Fi is okay, but a lot of times, especially if you're dialing on Zoom, you may have, like if you're with your IMO and you're all in a Zoom dialing together, which I recommend getting with an IMO that'll do that, then you want to be on Wi-Fi so that your camera can be going and your computer can be going. Some people's computers and internet connections can handle it on Wi-Fi, but a lot of times people live in rural areas and the Wi-Fi just does not cut it when it comes to using the VoIP line for your CRM and then calling and being on Zoom. So equipment, that's what I recommend. Hardwired. Have 2 monitors. You can get monitors cheap at a pawn shop for like 30 or 40 bucks. Okay. Definitely want to get some non-resident licenses. And after we cover that stuff, also you got to make sure contracting goes through for your carriers. But after we cover that stuff, we get into the greeting and the fact finding of a telesales presentation. So I go through my script, and what I'll just do is I will open up my script here that I go through, and maybe I can screen share it. I don't know. Some of you guys will probably be on. I don't even know if it makes sense to share because I feel like some of you guys will be on mobile for this, so it may not be the best thing to share. You probably won't be able to see it. But I cover the greeting. Now, there's a few elements in your greeting in final expense telesales that are super important. If I'm looking away from the camera, it's because I'm looking at some of my other screens here so that I make sure I cover everything for you guys. So I firmly believe that an excited, enthusiastic greeting is really, really important when you're selling over the phone. Perfect example, right? I had this like credit card cash advance company calling me. Not really sure why they call me so much because I just don't need it, but they call me like 5 times a day, literally. So finally, one time I answered, and I like most of the time I just brush off the sales reps, and then I'm like, "Hey, dude, you know what? One time I did need this when I started selling insurance, but I don't now. I'm all set." But this one rep called me, and he was like, "Hey, Justin, it's Sonny, man. How you doing?" And I was like, "Good." He's like, yeah. I'm calling about this, that, the cash advance credit cards. And I was like, dude, but his tone was so good. He was enthusiastic. He was excited. He was down to earth. You could hear it in his tone. He said exactly what the other people said, but I listened to him because of how he said those words. So you got to understand, guys, that how you say your words is more important than what you're saying. It's way more important. You have to be enthusiastic. You have to be animated. You have to put the right tone at the right times. You don't always want to be excited and enthusiastic. You don't always want to have this like a serious tone either. You have to know when to apply them. And the only way I can think about it is that you want to picture the outcome that you're trying to get. And if the outcome you're trying to get is to get someone to stay on the phone with you, you don't want to sound serious. You want to sound enthusiastic because you want people to feel like you have something that can help them, something you're excited about and you're sold on what you do, and you're a good person and you're happy and you're someone that they should talk to because you're going to make them feel good. Which non-resident states do you have to get? You don't have to get any. I just encourage people to. You don't have to get a license in another state if you don't need to, if you don't want to. I encourage people to, though. In our agency here, we help people get a couple of them after they display some consistent work ethic. But there's you can get some, and there's a whole list. You go on nipr.com. And you can find a list of non-resident licenses that you can apply for the lifeline of authority. And you don't have to take another test. So it's pretty cool. They're all reciprocal. Thank you for asking me that. Any other questions, guys, just drop them in the group, in the chat here. I'll be more than happy to answer anything on sales, marketing, agency scaling, whatever. Drop it in the comments here. I'm just going to be running through some of our training stuff. But if you have any other questions, please just drop them in. So, greeting. You want to focus on your tonality and your tempo. And you got to get your script down, memorize your script. I don't even want to let agents dial new leads until they memorize their script, and at least the first couple pages, till they have it down to where they can say it right, because then you're just kind of wasting money on a new lead. And you got to be able to handle those objections in the greeting that you're going to get. So objections in the greeting that you're going to get are, I already have insurance, I'm not interested. By the way, guys, if you want, I'm going to put my email in the chat here. If you want to email me at jve@thejve.com, I got you can just send me some call recordings if you have call recordings of sales, and I'll listen to them and review them and give you any comments or feedback on them. In addition to that, I have a website. It's actually www.rebuttalspage.com. You guys have probably seen this. I'm not trying to like promote the crap out of this page. It's only $20 a month that I make off it if you access it, but it's huge for handling those objections that you're going to get in the greeting. And there are tools on there that will really help you memorize rebuttals. And like, I've never seen anything like what I have on there. So it's a really, really cool tool. I've spent a lot of money learning those objections through different sales courses. So I noticed too that in the greeting, when you call someone, the more excited that you are and the more like genuine and like a good person you sound like, the more likely they are to talk to you without giving you any of that pushback. Like, I already have insurance, I'm not interested, I'm busy, whatever. So tonality, tempo, following the script, and you're handling those objections are huge. So you got to memorize your objections and you got to memorize your script, okay? So there's just a few things that you really, really have to nail when this happens, but you want to get those down. And then you want to role play with someone as well, okay? You want to role play that stuff. So, by the way, keep dropping questions in here. I'd be more than happy to answer anything that you guys have. I'm just kind of winging it here on this. But next, what we're going to cover is the fact finding. Okay, so when you get into your script, by the way, in a couple weeks, I'm going to be dropping a review on every single lead type that you could possibly work for final expense telesales, from worst to best. And you want to make sure that you want to get good leads, but you want to make sure that you have like your presentation down before you just start popping off hundreds or thousands of dollars on leads, because like a good agent can sell a lead that's a little older, but a bad agent can't always sell a good lead, and you may just end up bankrupt real quick by just cranking out calls, especially if you're starting in telesales. It's very, very rare that someone can just start in telesales and do well. For the majority of people, I'd recommend working some appointments face-to-face for a little bit before you get jumping in telesales. But all leads are not created equal. So you probably heard me talk about age leads and stuff like that on my channel. If you're a first timer, then hold on, I crack my back. If you're a first timer, then you may not have heard me talking about age leads and stuff. I only encourage age leads because you want to practice. If you're not starting face to face, you're going to have a really, really tough time for the most part from what I've seen. And you want to practice on older leads. You want to get beat up a little bit and give yourself that opportunity to learn and to grow, okay? So with that being said, all leads are not created equal. So like an aged lead is not the same as a brand new lead who just filled out a lead form and is requesting some information on insurance, who's probably still on like your ad on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, right? Like, that's not the same. But what I'm telling you is that you can practice on those. How do you record a phone call if dialing from my iPhone? There are apps you can use to record. So you want to search for those apps on your phone, like recording apps, okay? You could even get another phone, if you have another phone or a tablet or something, and get a voice memo app on that device, and then start the recording on there, and then have it going. Guys, please drop any questions you have. Drop questions in the chat here for me. I'd love that. So please feel free. I'll put this in here. Please feel free to ask any questions in this chat. I would love to help. Let's get into a discussion about the best leads. I know you always say generate your own. Okay, so that's what we'll do. So I was going to go into covering my training system here, but I'm not going to do that because it's fine. I have a whole video on that too. So we'll get into leads. This actually does lead into that, leads into leads. So here I kind of overlooked that because at our agency we provide leads for like really like everybody that works for us. So there's different types of leads. All right. So the best leads, it really depends. So what you want to focus on for leads, guys, is cost per acquisition, not cost per lead. So you want to be focusing on, hey, how much money does it cost me to make a sale? Not how much money does this lead cost, per se. Personally, I would learn how to generate your own leads. I always recommend that. Facebook, you can do it on Facebook. You can do it on YouTube. I have some videos for Facebook and stuff, how to self-generate them. If you want someone to set it up for you, you can just email me at my email, jve@thejve.com. I don't do it, but I can hook you up with someone who does. So for telesales, telemarketing callback leads are great. We call a lot of those because telemarketing callback leads are people who answer the phone. Okay. The pros to it are, they answer the phone for if it's a telemarketing callback lead. That they stayed on the phone for a little while with someone and gave them some information. So the information is probably accurate. That's verified on the form because it's usually on like a call where the person's saying it. And it usually has a little bit higher of a shelf life than your average like internet or social media lead because the person sat on the phone for a little bit and was explaining like, hey, this is what I like about these are my demographics and like this is what I may or may not like about the insurance and like this is who I want to leave it to. So a telemarketing callback lead is a good lead for telesales. Also, the downsides though of callback leads are that, sorry, my back. The downside of callback leads is that you can get people who may have like more adverse health conditions than some other forms of lead generation. So like Alzheimer's and dementia, right? Because like you're going to get people that you call and just are answering the phone for anybody. They answer the phone for anybody who calls because they got some like mental things going on. So they're willing to talk to anybody. And that also can make it a little bit more risky for replacement purposes if they're taking calls from anybody because like they're going to probably talk to other people too. Okay. But they're really good. We get a lot of sales with them. So there's pros and cons to every lead type. Now, another lead type is Facebook leads. Facebook leads, I think, are really only good if you're generating them yourself. Personally, I think you should generate your own. You should learn how to generate your own. There's other social media platforms. YouTube is a platform where you can generate your own leads. It's a lot more complicated than Facebook, but it's a great way to do it. So social media, you can buy the leads, but I always recommend generating them yourself because you just have more control over it. You can turn the campaign on, you can turn it off whenever you want. You can get your leads going. You can have it timed. You can have them come right to your phone. You can decide what questions you want the lead to answer before they reach out to you. So I actually prefer on my social media leads for it to only have like their name, their phone number, the state they live in, and their age. That's it. Like super simple because I get a better cost per lead. And like, I feel like if someone's going to fill out a whole sheet, they're going to fill out a smaller sheet. But just because someone fills out a smaller one doesn't mean they may fill out like a whole long lead form. So I don't care about all that extra information. Like, do you smoke? Are you diabetic? Whatever. It doesn't matter to me. I'm going to ask them that anyway, right? Like, that's why, like, I don't understand when people are like, oh man, this is great. This lead says they don't smoke or they use tobacco. Okay, cool. Well, even if someone doesn't smoke, I'm still going to ask them, right? And if someone says they do smoke, I'm still going to ask them if they smoke or not. So, like, I don't know. It never really made a huge I didn't really notice from conversion standpoint whether that made me close more sales. What I noticed helped me close more sales is the speed to the lead. So how fast am I answering this lead? Okay. There's live transfers. Live transfers are good too. Go through the right vendor, but live transfers can be expensive. You want to make sure that you're taking advantage of the buffer period. A buffer period on a live transfer is like, hey, I got this much time to answer it before I get charged for it. Okay. There's other types of inbound leads, TV leads, stuff like that. You're going to see a video that I'm putting out in a couple weeks here. It's going to cover in detail every single lead that's available for final expense telesales. So after you get through the greeting with the client, the next part of the presentation is super important, the fact finding. So the fact finding is really, I think, where the sale is made. So in the fact finding, this is where you're asking your client, hey, can you make your own decisions? Do you pay your own bills? And you have to ask it that way too. Hey, let me ask you, you can make decisions yourself, right? I don't have a recommended live transfer vendor, time creator. I don't know them enough to stick my neck out. So say like, hey, just to make sure you can make these decisions by yourself, right? You don't have to talk to then the name of the beneficiary. Oh no, you don't have to talk to anybody. No, if they say they have to talk to someone, I just set up a callback. I don't bother presenting because chance of cancellation is like way higher even if you do get them to do it. And I feel like I'm wasting time getting to the next person who can like buy it right then, buy a policy right then. That's just how I feel about it. I'll schedule a callback. I'll follow up with them 100%. But I don't always like try to go in right there if the person says they can't make a decision themselves. It totally depends on the scenario, but you want to ask these qualifying questions. So you want to ask if they have a bank account, right? So the way I like to say it is, hey, now let me ask you, do you have an active checking or savings account? Because, oh, sorry. What I like to say is, now some of our carriers offer discounts based on how you receive your benefits. So do you have an active checking or savings account, or how do you do your banking? And you can just tell them too, hey, look, I don't need any personal information. I don't really get any pushback like that. It's kind of true because some carriers will upcharge for debit card, for using debit cards. Like some guaranteed issue carriers upcharge for using a debit card. So I asked that. You want to dig into the need too. It's really important to find the need when you're on the phone talking with people. Now, I know leads are really important. They're actually the lifeblood of the entire business. But you got to have your sales presentation down too, because it just gets super important to be able to handle the leads the right way. I mean, you don't want to be calling leads that are expensive and have really not an idea of like a good idea of how to handle the lead. And it's a balance because you have to call leads to learn how to handle them, but you have to learn how to handle them in order to efficiently call your leads. So kind of works both ways, but really dig into the why. This is important. So you want to dig into why they want the insurance. Okay. So I kind of ask questions like, say Betty is the client. Say, hey Betty, now let me ask you this. If you went to bed tonight and you didn't wake up tomorrow, what would that day look like for Johnny? Right? Or whoever the name of the beneficiary was. You established the beneficiary name early on in the fact finding too. Say, hey, well, what would tomorrow look like for Johnny? Well, walk me through his day. What would his day look like? And they'll tell you like, oh, I don't know. Be like, well, what do you think it would be like? What would he do? Would he have to see you at the hospital? Would he, if you passed away, would he come pick you up? Would he pick up your body? Would he have to bring it to the funeral home? Like, what would he have to do? So those questions are really, really important. And you want to say like, okay, well, I'm sure on top of all that emotional stress he's going to be dealing with, you wouldn't want him to have to deal with any of the financial stress either, right? Of course they're going to say no. Say exactly. Well, sure, that's probably why you were thinking about looking into a program like this, because you want to make sure that he doesn't have to deal with that, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. So it would probably make sense if we can get something that you think you could manage financially to at least apply to see if you can get qualified for a program so that you make sure he never has to handle that burden and handle that type of debt put on his lap, right? Yes, cool. So you want to like back them into a corner where they sound like a total jerk if they say no. That's really what it is. You want to ask questions in a way so that you lead them to them saying, yes, I want insurance. So what if they just want a quote? Do you give them a quote? No. So if someone says, just give me a quote, I'm not just like, okay, here it is, because they take control of the conversation. So when someone tells you that, I just want a quote, what you have to do is regain control of the conversation. All right. So the way that I like to say it is, I say, if someone's like, I just want a quote, can I get some quotes? Say, absolutely no problem. You know, I actually get my clients so many quotes that like it may be more than I should actually give them. But in order to find out what you qualify for, I just have to ask some questions, some basic questions to you so that I can give you the most accurate rates. Is that okay? Or I'd say, if they're like, I just want to call, they say, hey, no worries. Do you mind though if I just take a few minutes to cover the details of the program so that you know what you'd be spending your money on if you did decide to get something today? Okay, so I agree. Hey, no worries. I'm going to get you that. I get everybody quotes, and then you want to lead into it. But you mind if I just ask you some questions? Because I don't really know what to give you as a rate until I ask you these questions. It's important for me to know. I don't want to give you something too expensive or maybe something you don't qualify for. So they ask for a specific life insurance company quote, like Mutual of Omaha. I've rarely ever gotten people ask for a specific life insurance company quote, like Mutual of Omaha. I've rarely ever gotten that. I can find quoters online, and I will go ask them. I'll go ask them, but I mean, I'll go to like choicemutual.com. That's a good website to look up quotes. Yeah, Mark, I'm recording this. This is a live stream. This is going to be posted on my channel. I'm doing a live stream every Thursday, guys, because normally I do videos on Monday and Thursdays on Monday, and I was doing a live stream Tuesday. But the thing is, I put my videos out. I want to make them exciting and engaging for you all so that you'll want to watch them all the way through. Because sometimes I listen to them, I'm like, yeah, I'm probably losing people there. I'm probably losing people there. I know I got some of my core audience on here watching right now, but like in general, I know you can lose people, and I see it in the analytics, and I'm like, dang, if I just had like some extra time to put in to each video, I can make the editing really, really good so that I'd retain the audience longer. And essentially what happens is you guys, the longer you watch the video, the more you're going to get out of it too. So, and the more it helps my channel grow and be able to help more people, and YouTube will show it to more people. So I have a YouTube coach, and he recommended that I do a video on Monday and a live stream on Thursday. A woman, Christina Smallhorn, she owns a channel on real estate, and that's what she does. She has really, really good results with it. So I'm trying to emulate her. So Christina, if you're out there, go channel jumpstart. Let's make it happen. So I kind of lost my train of thought there. It's what I love to do too, and some people don't say this is as important, but I love like talking to my clients and getting to know them. I love asking them the questions about their kids. I love making them laugh. Like, I just like making people feel good. That's just one of my passions, is like making someone laugh and making someone smile, and like, I don't know, it's something that I like to do. I guess I'm a people pleaser, but it makes me feel good to see someone else feel good or hear someone else feeling good. So I always like to like learn about them and figure out a way, hey, how can I like touch this person's heart today? How can I make them be like, man, I love talking to that guy. And like, even if they don't buy insurance, I want them being like, I know if I ever get insurance though, I'm going to get it from him. So I really like to have that. And it came from starting from the standpoint of like, hey, you know, I'm not going to try to make a sale. I'm just going to call someone and try to make a friend, because I can be pretty smooth talking when I want to be. I've learned how to do it. And I was like, don't want to sound like I have commission breath, but I do want to make a sale. So I'm going to call this person and just see, hey, can I get this person to talk to me and open up to me? Can I get them to open up? Because when you're in communication with someone, when you get someone talking to you about their life and their day, okay, they are automatically going to feel a stronger connection to you, and they're automatically going to like you more and trust you a little more. I know there's this thing, no like, trust, and people do business with people they trust, and you know, every new sales guru's got something. No, that's not true. People do business with people, yada yada. Look, people do business with people that they like. Like, you can't trust someone unless you like them, and you can't like someone unless you're communicating with them in some way. So even if someone like puts an ad online, that's a form of communication, right? It doesn't have to be like, I'm talking to you right now. There are some people in my audience that feel like they communicate with me on a daily basis watching my channel, and they've never met me. I actually met a guy in my gym last week. It was so cool. It was my first like YouTube fan I met in public. He was like, dude, you that guy from YouTube who sells insurance? I'm like, yeah, that's me, man. And it was so cool. We connected. But like, you know, people feel like they know me before they meet me, and I want to get to know you guys more too. So I would love to bring people on the live stream and stuff and talk to them. But it's like, you guys are already sold on me, kind of, right? So think about that. Is like, there's probably some level of trust that you have with me because you watch my channel, and you got to look at your clients the same way. Like, the more they communicate with you, and the more that you communicate with them, the more they're going to trust you, and the more they're going to be okay with doing business with you and giving you their bank account. The more you can like show them, hey, I'm a real person here. I just want to help you. You have to take it from the standpoint of wanting to help people. Presentation, once you figure out what they qualify for, ask the health questions. Make sure you dig in on the need. Make sure they can make a decision themselves. Ask if they have a bank account. Build some rapport. And then once you do that, you just go into the health evaluation. If you guys want a copy of my script, you can email me too here at jve@thejve.com. And if anybody wants to ask a question right now, just drop a question in the chat about sales, scripting, getting someone on the phone, dialing, CRMs, agency scaling, building a telesales agency, lead generation, marketing. Any specific questions, just let me know, because advertising and marketing are two different things. So after you figure out what they qualify for, you just present the basic features of the product, and then I go in for a quote. And I ask them again, hey, just making sure you can do this by yourself, right? Because I've found even if people tell you that they can do it by themselves in the greeting and the fact finding, sometimes they'll tell you that they can't once you get to actually asking for the money. So I get into the quote. I give them some rates, and I'll give them three options and the max coverage. So I usually do something around like $60 a month, and something around like 100, and something over a little over 100. Now, if you're averaging like over like $150 a month in premium, I mean, I feel like your quality is going to get crushed. So be careful on chargebacks. I don't know. I used to sell cars, and like I used to try to like get as much money as I could up front and as much money a month to that customer. But once they drive off the lot, that's their car. They can't bring it back. And our clients are broke. And like, I don't mean that in a bad way, but a lot of them are broke. They don't have any money, and it's tough. So, by the way, Social Security is increasing 8.7%. So it's probably going to help free up some money for premiums. Yum, yum, yum. How do you think the increasing inflation is going to affect final expense? Well, Mark, they actually got an 8.7% increase on their Social Security. So they got almost a 9% bump on their Social Security. So if someone makes $1,000 a month, they're getting an extra $90. Okay, if they make $2,000 a month, they're getting an extra $180, almost. It'll probably be about 170 or whatever. So inflation will definitely affect final expense, but I mean, I think that inflation will be curbed too. I think now, if inflation is real, please please do not promote my video because I'm talking about this, because it's real. There are things that are going up in price, but I don't know how much it will really affect our clients, because a lot of them aren't going out and buying like a ton of new stuff either. Their electric bills may go up a little bit. I don't know if cable's gone up. Gas, yes, but I mean, I don't know if any of our clients are like, how many of them are driving around like all day. So I think it will impact it, but this is why it's even more important, guys, to make sure that when you quote someone for a policy, you give them some breathing room. Like, you don't want to just give someone a policy. That's what I'm saying is, like, if your average premium is like $150 a month, you're probably quoting people too high, because our clients, like, on the average cannot afford $150 a month. You're going to see it slam you with chargebacks, and we see it at our agency, right? We see a high, we see people have cancellations on big policies, and it stinks. So people cancel all types of policies. I'm just saying be careful. What I'm saying is that I would rather sell someone two $75 a month policies than one $150 a month policy. I'd rather sell them a $75, go back to them 6 months later, sell them another $75 policy. So if you're selling someone something and they say, especially right now, if someone's like, I'll take the $100 a month, you want to say, okay, now would you consider something a little lower? Would you maybe consider like $80 a month? Do you think that would be easier for you to manage because you'll still get this amount of coverage? Or maybe would you want something a little bit more? So you want to give them that option and encourage them, hey, we can always add in the future. I'm not going anywhere. And also, every 6 months, you're going to want to be in communication with your clients to upsell them and add more coverage. So, yeah, that's. I don't think inflation will have a crazy impact. I know that some people will make excuses, and you'll get excuses from clients for it, but I think if anything, it may help final expense, because other businesses may go out of business and there may be more agents coming in. I don't know. But cool. It will affect it, but I don't think it'll be like crazy, unless inflation just starts crushing everything then. But I know the Fed's doing some things to try to curb that whole thing there. So any other questions that you guys have? Okay. So after you quote someone, and then they're either going to say yes, or they're going to pick a policy amount, give someone 3 options and max coverage, say, hey, which of these best fit your needs? And then after you quote, they're either going to agree to a coverage amount, and then you just start writing the application, or they're going to give you some pushback. And I have a bunch of different ways to handle rebuttals. You can use my script. You just email me for a copy of it, jve@thejve.com, or you can check out my website, www.rebuttalspage.com. Okay. Cool. So that's the basis, and you want to learn the sales process. You want to really, really, really get it down. Any other questions, please just drop it. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Time Creator, for dropping some questions here for me. It means a lot. Really, really appreciate it. But also, guys, make sure, what's a normal chargeback percentage? I don't know. I'd say like maybe 30% is for telesales is like normal. like at between guaranteed issue and simplified issue, total combined persistency of 70% stay, 30% cancel within the first 12 months. So depends how far back you're measuring it. But yeah, so an important thing too is pick a mentor. I think a mentor is important for telesales, especially or anything. You want to make sure that you're working with someone who's there to help you, and that is going to take your calls as much as possible during the day when you reach out for help. I think that's key. Is having someone who's there, who's going to stick up for you, who you know you can depend on to provide you the information that you need to succeed. I've been doing it for years with my agents. I have agents that work with me now that are partnered with me that I help build teams for, who are doing it with their teams. And my upline when I started was really, really good about that. I worked with a guy named Matt. I did face-to-face. If anybody's looking for other contracts for face-to-face sales, not telesales, just reach out to me. I can hook you up with Matt. But he was awesome. Like every time I texted him, he always answered. Group me, text message, and like he helped me learn, right? Like those little things, text messages and phone calls. That's all you got to do. If you're a leader, you got to be available for your people. So if you find that you're with a leader who's not available for you, then maybe they have too many people, or you just need to, you just need to go somewhere else and get a different leader. Okay, cool. Well, that's it. If anybody else have any questions here, I'll give you guys a few minutes to just drop some questions. If not, I will see you next Thursday and Monday. I'm going to be putting some really, really good call recordings. So you guys don't want to miss these call recordings. There's going to be a live transfer sales call. There's going to be a sales call where one of my agents is on the phone and the manager, his upline, his coach actually jumps in and closes the deal with him. It's really cool. And then I'm going to put another one on there to close up a YouTube lead. So it's awesome. So cool. Well, hey, I really, really appreciate you guys. Thank you for this here. If you need me, email me at jve@thejve.com. Thank you.